Hi everyone, this is Meena Puri from Ayurvedic Healing Center. So in this video, it's going to be a detailed video on how to break the spell of toxic relationships. And now let's go ahead and dive in. So I made notes about this video because it's a big topic, right? So when I talk about the spell, it actually indeed is a spell. A spell is something which is more like a trance. You are in a dysfunction or in a pattern that it begins to become less and less clear as to what's happening. We get caught up in the dysfunction, and it brings us a lot of pain, a lot of grief. And so it's important to recognize a toxic relationship. And it's important to be able to see clearly so it doesn't damage us on, physically, mentally, emotionally. So let's go ahead and dive in. So I am going to refer to my notes because I was downloading all of this information as I was thinking about the video. So here it is. So first thing is recognize that there's a chase. The chase may have hidden in it the longing or this subtle desire, thinking that I'm going to get something out of it. There's a little bit of fantasy that, this is what actually I was looking for. This is exactly what this relationship or what this dynamic is going to provide to me. So when I'm talking about relationships, I'm not necessarily talking about romantic relationships. That's part of it, but I'm talking about any relationships. Many times it happens in the close family dynamics, okay? And so any relationships where there is a chase, hidden in that chase is a longing for something which we think we're going to get inside that dynamic. So the longing remains. As long as the longing remains, the chase remains. How is that different from a normal, healthy relationship? In a normal, healthy relationship, the longing isn't there because the needs have been met. The desire has been fulfilled. So the longing isn't there, the chase isn't there. It's just it's a mutually beneficial relationship. It's the relationship that is honest and there's no control issues happening. So, but as long as there's a chase, because there's a longing, as long as there's a longing, while you are inside a relationship, that longing tells you that something is off. Because if the relationship has met the needs, the longing will no longer be there and the chase will not be there. So recognize if you are subtly chasing something, if you're subtly longing that this relationship is going to provide for you. Okay. Number two, and here is the truth of it. It's a sad truth. Many times we have to get inside the dynamic in order to be able to see it for what it is. It's difficult to view it while we are outside of the relationship because we're not close enough to see it. We're still in that fantasy stage. So we have to be inside the relationship and continue with the dynamics of the relationship. And what happens when we are inside the relationship, there's a cycle, there's this toxic cycle of patterns that both people or all the people involved in the dynamic are repeating. And each time a dynamic is repeated, there's emotional pain that's inflicted. There's a conversation making you think we are talking about it, but actually nothing changes, or the other person doesn't understand anything, but it makes you feel better anyways, thinking at least you're able to talk about it. But nothing changes. The toxic pattern continues. And, I often wonder, why do we continue to repeat the same old thing over and over again? Here's my answer. I don't know if it's your answer. The answer is that at the heart level, we want to unite. The heart wants what it wants. And we keep on thinking, only if I change this, or I understand this, only if. It relentlessly is pursuing something with the hope that it can change it. You can change you. Only a person can change themselves. You can seldom change another person, right? Unless they want to change and unless they see what needs to be changed. So you need to be inside the dynamic in order to see it. If you have done this type of work before, I'm giving you these hints so you may not have to go deep inside it to see it, so you can begin to see it from the periphery and decide if you want to dive in or not, right? If you are inside this toxic pattern or a relationship, please begin to see clearly. And if the cycle is repeating, if the same thing is repeating over and over again, chances are it's not going to shift unless you shift. Sometimes in order to shift, you have to disrupt the pattern. To disrupt the pattern, you have to step out. You have to create a distance for clear seeing so you can disrupt the pattern. Okay. Number 3, after the pattern is repeated enough, and here's the truth is, some dysfunctions go when the life goes. They stay as long as a person is alive, because if you're not aware, you're not aware. Awareness, it just does not happen. You have to be willing. Sometimes we can be lulled by a pattern, by the normalcy, by the comfort of the familiar, by doing the same old. And we see this around us in many, many dysfunctional relationships, and they just continue to be like that till they leave this world. But when you kind of create that separation to disrupt the cycle, it takes a little time to see what's happening underneath the patterns, the energies. Here's an important revelation I had. If the video is kind of going a little bit here and there, it's because this is just a tough topic. I'm trying to make sense of it for you, make it really clear for you. What came to me was that the survival instinct in each human being is so strong. It's embedded, it's very strong. What that means is, no matter what, each person is equipped to survive. What I notice is that sometimes, in order for people to survive, they use or manipulate another person to kind of use them as a crutch to keep themselves safe from a certain things or certain other relationships or certain other dynamics in their life. So the intention is not ill, it's just many times because a survival instinct is so strong that every person is like struggling to survive. There is the use of manipulation and using the other person as a crutch, even though you're hurting the other person. that awareness isn't there because we are blinded by our own needs, right? The truth is, if there are two people, one is healed and the other one is wounded, the relationship is not going to work for a long time. The vibration is not a match, and something will unfold in that dynamic. The person who's on the healing path is eventually going to leave, or they're going to relate with the person in a totally different way. So when you wake up, when you take that break to disrupt the cycle, you can wake up to all the energies that are kind of having an impact. The energies underneath, the undercurrents of the relationship, what's really happening, not what looks like it's on the surface, but it's really what is really happening. Most of the dysfunctional relationships, they're within families. Other people don't know us. They don't interact with us. If they don't know us, they can't hurt us. We don't interact with them. So who do we interact with the most? The people who are near and dear to us, our families. Families by birth or families by marriage. And families hurt each other because the reason why we are in the family, it's a karmic relationship, it's a karma. That's why you are born in the same family, because there's something to heal between the relationship. There's something that you need to see between the relationship. There's a soul contract to be able to heal. So people who come together in the same families, there's karma. And it's the hardest thing to, relationships when they go wrong within the families are the most painful things, because we think that family means, everything warm and loving and cushy. And it can be. But then there's that. Hopefully when we kind of clean out the karma with the current families, wherever we're getting hurt, our next family would be that warm, fuzzy family. But I think they can be. It would be lovely if they are. But when you see all the pain that's happening in the world, when you see, I see clients day in, day out, and this is the work I do. These are people who are hurting. They're not being hurt by a third person. They're being hurt by the family. The dysfunction is within the family. So I'm going to kind of end it here because I can go on, but I think this is enough. So in summary, what do I want you to pay attention to? Are you chasing something or someone? Wherever there's a chase, there's a pain. I wrote a blog about it. I actually will post a link to the blog as well. And I may do a separate video on that at some point. But whenever there's a chase, there's a pain there. It's not going to end up well. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. And if the dysfunction is so kind of wound up, so deeply embedded in your life, it may serve you to take a break so you can think straight. So taking a break is necessary to break the cycle, to interrupt the cycle, to disrupt the cycle, so you can create new patterns that are more healthy, that are better for you, and that are healing for you. And with that, I will see you at the next video. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you continue to have mindful, meaningful, and joyful the few days of holidays that we still have left. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next video.